Welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast with Noelle Kustas, where we ignite the spark to discover your favorite self. It is time to get real, ladies.
Hello, and welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast. I'm your host, Noelle Kustas. Over the last several years, I have made myself a promise that the holidays would become simpler, more peaceful, and even more special. Not because I'm doing more, but because I'm more prepared in body, mind, and spirit. And today I want to share what that really means. And that is why I am so excited that you're here today, because we're going to be just really getting into a topic that every woman, especially every mama, I think, needs to hear before the holidays take over. And it's all about mindset, planning, and intentional living through the holiday season. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, oh, the holidays, I've got this handled. Whatever, I don't want to listen to this. Like some of you don't even want to deal with the holidays. Others of you are like, nope, got it done. We're good. I want you to pause for a second because I know you. You have been through enough seasons to know that handled, and I say that in quotes, doesn't always mean peaceful. You can be organized, you can be prepared, and still feel like the weight of the season lands squarely on your shoulders. Who's with me here? This episode isn't just about shopping or budgeting. It's about how we approach the holidays as women who do it all. And this is why you might be dreading it, or again, looking forward to it, but thinking you're going to make it different this time. I want you to really, really believe in that. And I want you to be in a space where you're shifting from survival mode to intentional mode. I want you to shift from the chaos to the calm, from maybe you're in the place of, I just want to get through it, to actually feeling good while you move through it. Because this time of year, let's face it, it can be super magical for some, but it can also be super messy, or it can just even be a combination of both. It can bring a ton of joy, but it also brings pressure. I know this. I am not in denial, even though I am all about the holidays and I love, love, love them. I know that there's still pressure around it. And for so many of us, especially moms, it can feel like we're trying to make it beautiful for everyone else while we are actually secretly running on empty. So today we're going to just slow down together. We're going to talk about mindset. We're going to talk about planning. And we're going to talk about how we can approach this season with more peace, more purpose, and joy without the guilt, without the overwhelm, and without the burnout. So here's my goal today is that by the end of this episode, you're going to have tangible steps and mindset shifts to help you reclaim your peace, protect your energy, and actually enjoy the holidays this year. And actually, because when you enjoy the holidays, everyone else around you gets to enjoy the holidays as well. I may be talking to someone in particular there because you deserve to feel good in the season that you pour so much love into. And just a little heads up, this is actually going to be a part one of a special two-part holiday series because next week I'm going to be sharing my holiday gift giving guide. And that's going to be filled with lots of meaningful, intentional ideas to make shopping simpler, but also to feel good from your soul. And that one is just, going to happen to be right before Black Friday, just in time to grab some amazing deals. And trust me, I'll be offering up something extra juicy and special that you're not going to want to miss. So let's start with the truth. For most women, the holidays come with pressure. We want to make it beautiful. We want to create all these memories. We want everyone around us to feel loved and seen. And because of that, we often, what do we often do, ladies? We often overextend our time, our energy, and our pocketbooks, our money. There's this little quiet narrative that so many of us carry that says, if I can just make it perfect, then everyone will be happy. But I have come to learn the hard way that perfection doesn't create peace. It actually creates more pressure. And this psychology behind it is actually really powerful, you guys. Studies show that over 90% of holiday purchases are emotion driven. We buy based on how we want to feel or how we want others to feel, not from need, but from emotion. Okay. So I'm talking from everything from gift giving to buying the food to buying the decor, all of the activities, all of it. And advertisers, here's the thing, you guys, they know this. And they're going to sell us stories disguised as solutions. So, this is what I want you to be aware of. If you buy this, your family will feel complete. If your home looks like this, you'll finally feel calm. If you give this, it means you're a good mom. It means you're a good wife. It means you're a good friend. But here is the truth. Peace is not going to come in a box, a bow, or a delivery truck. Peace comes from clarity and alignment. And that why we need to talk about all of this. But before we talk about planning or budgeting, we have to talk about the why behind what it is that we do. Because when we're clear on that, everything else will flow differently. I promise you. It will all start to flow differently because for years I went into holidays on autopilot. I had a lot of guilt. I had a desperate, and when I say desperate, I mean desperate desire to make everyone else happy. And I was like running from an empty cup because years ago, and I've talked about this before on the podcast, everyone around me did not love the holidays. My glam gram was the only other person that understood my love for the holidays. And she probably ran around with her chicken, with like a chicken with the head cut off, much the same as I did, probably when she was a young mom and when she was, being grandma and mom. And we had all the holidays at her house because believe me, all the holidays growing up were at her house, especially when it came to Christmas. And I can only imagine how much she put into that. Okay. And what we were always trying to do, and what I was always trying to do every year, was make everyone else happy. And I ended up always feeling overwhelmed, overstimulated. And here's the worst part is I was always quietly disappointed that I missed the magic I was trying so hard to create. And so as I started like just kind of doing work around this and just kind of recognizing this when I became a single mom, especially, this is when things started to change for me because I had to start to reevaluate what the holidays looked like. And then I asked myself one day a question that honestly, I feel like it changed everything. There's going to be a lot of questions in this podcast that I'm going to have you asking yourself because this is what I had to do. I had to get curious. And I asked the question, what if I made this season feel good for me too? What does that look like? And that one shift, that one question honestly changed everything because it reminded me that my piece mattered too in all of this. And you guys, it's a ripple effect. Whatever we are doing in our own lives is what is going to, you know, be the ripple effect for our family and everybody else around us. So I could still love them. I could still give. I could still show up, but I wanted to show up differently. I wanted to show up in a place of joy, in a place where I felt grounded and not always exhausted. And that's what I want for you. So we're going to start right here by redefining what enough really looks like. Okay. So if you've ever caught yourself kind of saying like, will this ever be enough? Is this ever going to be enough? Oh my gosh, is this ever enough? Is your spouse saying, honey, is this ever going to be enough for you? Enough gifts, enough moments, enough magic, enough effort. I just want you to know you're not alone if you've ever thought that, or if you have a husband or spouse that's asking you that. Because we as women are typically masters at overdoing. We convince ourselves that if we just give a little more, if we just plan a little bit better, push a little bit harder, we'll finally feel that deep exhale that we have been chasing. But here is the truth. Enough isn't about quantity. It's about your energy. Let me explain this. You can do less and feel more fulfilled if you're grounded in peace and purpose. You can actually, I know this may shock you for some, you can actually give fewer gifts and have more meaning if those gifts are coming from the heart. You can plan less perfectly, okay, and still create something unforgettable when your presence leads the way. So here is the mindset shift I want you to anchor into. Enough, okay, the word enough, the meaning of enough is not something you buy or prove, it's something you get to decide. You get to decide what enough is. You decide when you've done enough, when you've given enough, when you've been enough. And the moment that you make that decision, the pressure is going to start to dissolve. I promise you. Because here's the thing, how many of you feel exhausted because you're striving? You're always striving. That becomes exhausting. So you're going to get to rewrite these rules this year. You're going to get to decide that your worth is not measured by the number of gifts you give or the food that you cook or the house that you decorate. Your worth, hear me out here, is not up for debate. It's not. So, as we really dig into this episode, because it's going to be a good one, you're going to want to grab a piece of paper, you're going to want to grab a pen, or you're going to want to go back to some of these parts because I'm going to give you some really awesome nuggets, things that have helped to transform and things that are continuing to help me transform the holiday. So just take a deep breath with me right now. Take a deep breath because you're like, oh, here we go. But I want you to look at this with hopefulness and just excitement because this season does not have to be a perfect version of you. It needs to be the present version of you. I've been talking about this so much on the podcast recently. I really want this to be the calm, intentional, grace-filled version of you. And so remember I said you're going to ask yourself a lot of questions. So I want you to ask this question. Actually, I'm going to ask you two questions. One is, will this add joy or stress? Write it down. Will this add joy or stress? And the second question is, am I doing this out of love or am I doing this out of guilt? Am I doing this out of love or am I doing this out of guilt? Because those two questions are going to be your compass. Because here's the thing, when you act from guilt, you start to lose yourself. And when you act from love, everything else just starts to shift. It starts to soften a little bit. So when the not enough, and I put that in quotes, air quotes for those of you watching. So when the not enough voice shows up, and it's going to, try saying this instead. I am enough. What I give is enough. The way I show up is enough. Because remember, we get to decide that. And it's not making you any less than, it's not making you lazy. It just makes things more aligned. And when things are more aligned, you're going to be amazed at how different your energy feels when you lead from a place of peace instead of all this pressure all the time. And here's the thing, like I said, it's the ripple effect. Your kids, your partner, your family, they don't need you to be perfect. They want you to be present. That's what they need. They need you to be laughing and they want your attention. They want you to feel the love, not all of the exhaustion, that this is hard, that this is a pain, that this is frustrating to you. And that, my friend, is what makes this season truly enough. Do you feel that? Just that little breath that you take that you can go, okay, I'm hearing you. That's what it starts to feel like when you start letting go of the pressure and you start stepping into the peace, as you start to kind of be able to just go, okay, let's see, let's do this. And so this is what the next part is going to be about, is it's going to be about clarity, because clarity is what is going to create more of the calmness. Because let's be honest, most of the stress we feel during the holidays doesn't come from what we do. It comes from how unprepared we feel while we're doing it. So if we are in a space of reacting, or if we're rushing around, or if we're just winging it, everything starts to feel heavy. But when we move with intention, there's this space, there's this ease that happens, and then there becomes room for joy. Because that's the whole thing. I mean, freedom is such a core value of mine, and that's what this is about, is it creating that freedom. Freedom from panicking. Freedom from all the guilt, freedom from the last minute chaos that always leaves, I don't know about you, but it leaves me wondering why I'm crying in, the Target parking lot as I'm hustling around like a crazy woman. I think we've all been there. So I want to help you plan the season in a way that honors you and honors your peace and doesn't steal it. And it's all about designing a season that works for you, not against you. So, number one is you're going to simplify. This is where we're going to begin. Ask yourself what actually matters this year. If you need to journal it out, journal it out. Talk to your family about what actually matters this year to us. Maybe for you, it's going to be, I really want to have some slow mornings with the kids. I want to have more laughter and nights out with my friends. I want to get back to my community. I want to be able to volunteer some time during this season. Or I just don't want to be like dead on the ground on December 26th because I am flipping exhausted and trying to recover from October 31st till December 25th. Oh, yeah. And then there's New Year's Eve for those of you that celebrate that, right? So choose your top 2 or 3 priorities and then start to let the rest go. Because here's the thing, when everything matters, when you're trying to do all of it, guess what happens? Nothing actually ends up getting done or mattering. Not that it doesn't get done, it doesn't matter as much because it's just like a chore. It's just another thing to do. So simplifying isn't about cutting things out and cutting out your joy. It's about actually clearing more space so you can be more creative, so you can do the things that you really, really, really want to, that you really value. Because sometimes we're so busy trying to squeeze it all in that it ends up kind of going like, eh. Here's an example of that. So, one of the things is my grandma loves to go around and look at lights, Christmas lights. This is like her thing. We all get in our cars, we pick a night, we go, we typically stop and we go to like Sonic or In-N-Out Burger. It's like her thing. She just loves to do that afterwards, or we go get an ice cream at one of our favorite spots. And it's what we all do. And it's so funny because it's just like a non-negotiable. It's just something that we do. And it's way more meaningful when we're not trying to cram it in. When we actually are like, this is a non-negotiable, this is like top of our list, that and our baking, those are the 2 things that are non-negotiables. And when we plan them and we're not trying to cram it in, it is so much more enjoyable. And then when we're not trying to cram everything else in, we can make that time even more special and more fun because we have the space and the capacity to be able to do that. So this leads me to number 2, prepare. Once you know what matters, it's time to prepare. And this starts to feel really empowering and fun. So Here's the thing. If we're talking, here's an example. If you are talking about like, okay, I need to start preparing the budget, set your spending intention, not just a budget, but an energy boundary. And I want you to say it out loud. This is my budget, and this is what I can joyfully spend. Like literally, you go, this is my limit. These are the limits that I'm going to put on things because within that, I am joyfully spending it. I want to. I've set an intention around it. I'm not like in that place of just like, oh my gosh, money's just flying everywhere. I'm just spending, spending, spending. And then you start spending things on dumb gifts and like things that don't even really matter. How many have you been there? Like I have. But when I set a budget that's intentional, then I'm like, oh, this is fun. We had a thing that we used to go into this. Oh my gosh, this like really dates me, but this was a long time ago when I was single mom and didn't have a lot of money to spend extra. And so I remember us going to the dollar store, me and my kids, and we were like, okay, here is, I forget, I think we did like 10 or $15. Everybody gets 10 or $15. And these are like the little gifts for like fun little quote unquote stocking stuffers that we would hand out or that we would give. Like these were just like the fun. And let me tell you, we joyfully did this. It was so much fun picking these things out because we had the budget, we knew how much we could spend, and we wanted to get creative. Okay. So you can even break it down. So let's say you have a $100 budget for each kid. I'm just throwing numbers out. Break it into three meaningful categories: memories, okay? Things that create connection. So that could be like experiences, traditions, quality time. So maybe that day you're like, okay, well, here's my budget, but what memories do I want to create? You might have to spend money on that, but maybe it's not that you have, and maybe there's no money around it. And then the second one would be meaning. So these are thoughtful gifts that hold value or significance. Okay. And then also, when you're out doing all the things, think of yourself. So, memories, meaning myself. Myself is something that replenishes you because here's the thing, your piece fuels the entire season. Most of the time, it's mama. Most of the time, it's the woman in the family that's out there fueling the season. So when you start to plan this way, you don't feel deprived. You actually feel directed. You actually feel like, oh, I've got a purpose. Like this feels good. You're not reacting to every sale. You're not reacting to every expectation because you're choosing from a calm place and you're confident because you've already started to prepare. So you already know. And here's the thing, planning doesn't remove some of that spontaneity because sometimes that's fun. But what it does is it starts to remove some of the stress and it gives you like a really great foundation to work from. So when those like really sweet, spontaneous moments do happen, you're actually present enough to notice them and to enjoy them. And then the third one is personalized. Now, this is where it gets really beautiful. Instead of creating a gift list based on obligation, create one on values. So here's where I want you to ask yourself again. I want to write these down. What would make this person feel so loved? What would make this person feel so loved? And then what could we do together that would mean more than any other thing? What could we do together that would mean more than any other thing? You actually might be surprised how often the answer isn't stuff. Like, how many times? Oh, just more stuff. It might be a coffee date. It might be you giving someone a handwritten note. Maybe it's a homemade dinner. Maybe it's an experience you can share. This is how we reconnect the heart back to giving. Because when we personalize it, we shift from that whole thing of performance to purpose. And that is where our peace actually lives, not in how much you buy, but in why you buy it. Why are you buying those things? Why are you doing those things? When you put all of that into action, something magical starts to happen. And you start to actually feel ahead of things. You start to feel more relaxed. And you start to remember that this season isn't meant to drain you, it's meant to feel. I always just like think of the word delightful and joy. It's meant to feel that way. So, as you begin planning, take a little time to reflect on that. Write down your top three priorities, create your spending intention, and design your list with love and not pressure. Because when you plan from a place of peace, I'm going to keep saying this, everything that follows feels lighter. Okay. So, now that we've talked a little bit about mindset and planning, let's talk about the part that can either bring peace or more chaos this time of year, and that is shopping, like actually doing the shopping. And again, before you roll your eyes at me, please don't, or don't tense your shoulders, don't get stressed. Just take a deep breath with me if you need to, because this isn't about more lists or more rules. This is about empowerment. That's what this whole episode is about. It's about reclaiming your peace before you hit add to cart. Because shopping can actually be a really awesome expression of love and creativity. So, when it comes from intention rather than impulse, it can be really beautiful. It's when we start buying from stress or from guilt or from I have to energy. That's when things start to spiral. Think about that. When you're at the last minute and you're doing all of the things and you don't really have things planned, I don't know about you, but that's when I start buying like, oh my gosh, I haven't gotten enough. I haven't done enough. Oh my gosh, I need to get one more thing. Oh, but I don't know. Like I'm going through my list and I don't really feel like I've got the one thing that they would love. So now I'm going to search everywhere and make myself crazy to try to find it. That becomes stressful. And here is the truth. Our spending actually tells a story. Every dollar that we spend is a vote for the kind of season we want to create. So the goal here isn't to stop shopping, it's to start shopping with your heart. And I know that sounds corny, but there's a little method that I have that I've started to use, and it really, really, really is helpful. And it's called, I don't know, I just call it the pause and check method. This is one of the simplest yet powerful tools that I use, and I teach it to women that I work with. So before you click add to cart, before you grab anything on sale, before you say yes to that like massive deal, I want you to just pause and I want you to take a deep breath and ask yourself two questions. Remember, we're always asking. It's when we get curious that we start to really make a difference. So you're going to ask yourself, am I buying this from peace or from panic? And does this align with how I want to feel this season? And you're going to be shocked at how often this small little pause will save you time, it's going to save you money, and it's going to save you energy. Because if your answer feels really calm and light, that's peace. Go for it. But if it feels like really rushed and it feels pressured, or it feels like you're trying to fill a void, that's panic. And that's when you're going to want to step back. And that is how we start retraining our spending patterns because our spending patterns get really emotional. So you want to create some awareness before the action. That's why I love doing some of this work ahead of time. And that's why I love when I go out and I start to do the shopping. I've already asked these questions. I have already, and I have so much room for getting better at this. And I'm learning more as I go and I kind of like investigate this and think about this. I'm like reflecting what worked last year, what didn't work last year. And one of the things that I recognize for sure is when I feel prepared and when I'm intentional about it, I definitely feel more excitement around it. And I feel like I'm not restricted because I'm not only honoring my budget and the bank account, but I'm also honoring my heart. So I made this really easy because I was like, how can I make this easy to remember? I did 3 C's of intentional shopping. Want to hear me out here? So, 3 C's of intentional shopping. And I just feel like the simpler we can do it, this is the teacher in me. I love to love to find ways to keep things simple so I can remember. So, conscious, know why you're buying. Ask, what emotion am I chasing with this purchase? If it's joy, if it's connection, great. But if it's guilt, comparison, anxiety, take the pause. So being conscious. Okay. Second C is being creative. So think outside of the box. Literally think outside of the present. Think outside of the box. Sometimes the most meaningful and most beautiful gifts aren't store bought. They're experiences, they're acts of service, or something that speaks to who that person really is, because that's when they're going to feel seen. That's when they feel the most loved, when it's coming from something that is so meaningful to them. So get creative. Maybe it's a day together. Maybe it's something that you frame and it's like a memory. And every time they look at it, they're smiling because they're like, oh my gosh, that was so great. Think outside of the box. So be creative. So conscious, creative, and connected. Shop with purpose, not just for things, but for the impact that you're going to make. And here's where I can squeeze in. I love this. Support local. Support women-owned businesses. Support the artisans out there. Support other brands that align with your values. Yes, I'm going to have a gift giving guide. It's going to include all sorts of things, some of which you're going to be able to grab on Amazon, some of which you're going to be able to look for and find in your local community, some of which won't cost any money. And it's just an idea of something you can do. So we're going to talk about all of those in part 2. But again, when you spend intentionally, your money circulates good energy. I believe this, and that creates the ripple effect in our own communities, in just in the world, in society. All of it feels good because it actually is doing good. And that's, where I've started to, and this is like newer in my world, is like understanding the energy of exchange. Because I want you to think about shopping this way. Every purchase is an exchange of energy. You're trading. So if you think about it when you go shopping, you're trading your time, your effort, and your money for something you hope will bring joy to somebody else, something that you hope will be meaningful, something you hope will create a connection. So again, the question becomes, is this exchange worth it? Does it serve your values? We don't go work hard to just buy a bunch of junk, right? We want it to be meaningful. So when you start looking at shopping as an energy exchange, you begin to kind of notice more and you get to choose a little differently. And you're no longer reacting to all of the noise. You're actually responding from what actually feels good. And that is where the power is, in my opinion. And that's when you get to stop trying to keep up. You aren't trying to prove yourself and you start giving from purpose. That is the shift. That's shopping with your heart. And I want you, before we move on, I want to invite you to reimagine what giving looks like for you this year. Because giving, when it's done with that intention, is one of the most healing, beautiful energies there is. I truly believe that. And when you're thinking about the holidays, creating, even sitting, if you're someone that, does Thanksgiving, if you're someone that celebrates Hanukkah or Christmas, whatever that is for you, think about who in your life truly needs my time more than my money. How can I make someone feel seen, not just like excited over a gift? And what if I gave gifts that supported more connection? I mean, what is it that is important to you and to them? Because don't forget yourself in that giving. Okay. So this is where I want you to give yourself permission. This is the giving part to you. Give yourself permission to rest. Give yourself a moment of stillness. Give yourself grace too. Doesn't have to be perfect. You deserve just as much as you give. You deserve that too. I don't want you feeling resentful that you gave and gave and gave, and then you didn't feel like anything was given back to you. Give back to yourself. Take care of yourself. It's like putting on your own oxygen mask first. And when we bring mindset and planning and intentional shopping together, we actually create something so powerful because we're showing our families and we're proving to ourselves and we're being honest with ourselves and keeping our truths. We're keeping it all in motion and it just ripples out to everybody. And what it will do is instead of, and this is what I'm finding, instead of feeling drained at the end of the season on the 26th of December, I actually love it. I actually love how I feel the day after Christmas. Not because, oh, thank God it's all over. I actually have a little melancholy because I have started to create these beautiful, just experiences and holidays in the last several years, even when I had the big fall, because the big fall happened on Christmas Eve. And even that day, because I was working so hard to create, but I was under all this pressure, feeling, and I put that on myself. I was going to use grandma's china. I was going to do all the things. I was going to make it so special. And then I take this huge fall and I can't do anything but sit in a recliner, face all beat up, and I'm completely drugged out just to not feel the pain. But I will tell you that the things that I had done beforehand to prepare, it ended up being like still such a beautiful day. Because I know we know this. What really matters is not what's under the tree. It's about how we feel when we're sitting around the tree, if you're someone that celebrates Christmas. So let's take another breath together. We're going to wrap this up. We've just walked through a lot, I know, but I don't want this to feel like another to-do list. This isn't about doing more. It's about doing it differently and just taking some small shifts and practicing them, creating the change through consistency. Okay. So here's how I'm going to wrap it up. All of the things that we've talked about. I want you to create your holiday mission statement. Yep, I know that sounds crazy. Create your holiday mission statement before the list, before the parties, before all of the things. Just today or in the next couple of days, pause and ask yourself, how do I want this season to feel? How do I want it to feel? And then write it down. Maybe it's peaceful. Maybe it's slow. Maybe it's simple. Maybe it's full of joy, connected. That is going to be how you're going to lead. And when things start to feel out of whack, you're going to go back to this. How do I want it to feel? And if something doesn't align with that feeling, it's okay to say no. And then I want you to choose just one of the peaceful planning steps. Just one. So it can be spending with intention. It could be making a values-based list or identifying your top priorities. You don't have to organize all of it today. Just take one, just take one small step that tells your brain, I'm leading this season with intention. If you want to do more, great. But just do the one mission statement and then just picking one of the planning steps. And then the last thing I'm going to just remind you of is practice the pause. Every time you reach for your wallet, your calendar, your phone, take a pause and ask, am I doing this from peace or pressure? That single question will recenter you faster than any strategy because peace isn't found in perfection, it's found in presence. I'm going to say it again and again and again. These aren't big old flashy steps. I know I just want them to be small, powerful ones that bring you back to yourself and that feel good as we're walking into the holidays and as we're walking into this season, because I know it's not always easy for everyone. And for those of you that do really love it, it's a win-win for everybody. It's a win-win for those that kind of dread this season. But then it's also a win for those of you that want to live this season better. There's, like my friend Lachelle says, there's a good, better, best, right? So we're always looking at that. I just don't want you to lose yourself in the process of this because I don't want it to be negotiable. I don't want your piece to be negotiable. So as we wrap up today, I want you to remember that you're allowed to enjoy this season. You're allowed to slow down. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to simplify and to make this year feel different. So, if today's conversation resonated and you're ready to bring more calm and joy into the next few weeks, I have also, in addition, put together a few of my favorite self care essentials. There is some on my Amazon storefront, and it's just like some of the little things that keep me grounded and centered as I prepare for the season. Okay. So, I mean, you guys, I'm talking about like the cozy, the practical, all about taking care of you while you're taking care of everyone else. And you'll be able to find that link on the show notes. And I'll be kind of putting these on my stories on Instagram too, because I think those things are so important. And I'll be sharing things that are not just on Amazon. There is an Amazon storefront and being super real with you, but there's also some products. There's also some, different things that I use between oils and supplements that I take, things that I do. You can follow along on the stories and we'll be talking about those things. And I also really just hope that you're going to stay tuned right here because next week we're going to continue this conversation with, like I said, one of my favorite episodes of the year. It's the holiday gift giving guide and it's made easy. I really try to make it easy for you. And we're going to be talking fun, creative, meaningful ideas that make gift giving feel effortless. Plus, there will be some early Black Friday finds that you won't want to miss. And yes, I am going to be sharing something extra special that's coming exclusively for my listeners. So make sure you're subscribed because that's going to be good and it's going to be fun and I cannot wait. Until then, give yourself permission to rest and take one peaceful step at a time. Remember, holidays don't have to be perfect. They just need to be enough for you to feel good and to feel present. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today. Keep rising, keep shining, and remember, your best day is right here waiting for you. Thanks, friends. Have a good one.
Thanks for joining me here today. Your presence means the world to me. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider leaving a rating and review, and don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Head to the show notes and let's connect. Rise to Shine Co. is ready to support you in coaching, collaboration, life tips, or even a coffee chat. Until next time, keep shining, my friends.